Welcome to African Canadian Voice today. We're coming to you today with our sixth episode. We are already at the sixth episode, and other episodes have created a lot of interest in the community. And a lot of people are really happy and following us on different channels where we are sharing this great cultural aspects of African Canadian heritage. And today we're coming to you with a young man, upcoming talented musician who plays steel drum, and his name is Zahi.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here. I know after my performance at the Black History Month opening ceremonies, and when you mentioned this program, I was very excited about it.
We're going to ask Zahi today who Zahi is, and we're going to learn what he has to tell us about himself.
My name is Zahi Ali. I'm 18 years old and I'm a student at Medway High School. As my heritage goes, I'm half Trinidadian and half Lebanese.
How was your introduction to this?
I think growing up, even just from a very young age, there's always been a lot of music playing in my household, and from that it really gave me an appreciation for musics of all sorts of genres and from all over the world.
How did this drumming come out of all the musical influences?
So the steel drum is actually unique to Trinidad and Tobago, and I had the opportunity to visit there a few times in my life where I got to see people play the steel drum like in person, and from there I kind of developed a passion to learn how to play myself.
Did you go to any other school, or basically this is a self-taught process you did on yourself?
So I did learn how to play the steel drum for my first few years in a band, but I have no background in musical theory by any means, and even after my departure with the band, I kind of just learned through like hearing and playing really. I just feel the music.
We saw you performing really well at the Black History Month, and the audience was really moved.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So in order to be a great musician like you, there needs to be a support from the immediate family members. The father might say something, your mother might say something, or they might influence from their background. For example, your mom is from Lebanon, there might be some influence from there, your dad from Trinidad, there could be Afro-Caribbean influence, and maybe your brothers, sisters also could have those kinds of influence. How were they melding into helping you or creating the person you are?
Ever since I was a kid, I guess music has always been playing in our household. And whenever I play my music, my parents let me blast it all I want. They never tell me really to turn it down at all, so that's great. I can remember as a young kid getting the chance to go to Toronto and see Carabana on the streets. And yeah, they've always just been there, always encouraging me to listen to new music and see how I like it.
Was it that because you started this early on when you were young, maybe 6 or 7, so that it became second nature to you, or it's because of due to intense involvement in that?
I actually picked it up kind of later, not that young, so I think really it's just a connection I found and something that I fostered myself, but also the loved ones around me definitely gave me room to grow and let me fully embrace like the musical aspect of myself. Yeah, I've never really picked up sheet music before. I still can't even read sheet music up to this day. I kind of learn and pick up by hearing it, and then when I'm performing, it's all just kind of comes to you naturally, I guess. A lot of the music we play has like big sets of the songs where there's actually just room to improv.
Oh, that's great. How do you balance this with your education and future career plans?
It's tricky, but I keep a very strict schedule to make sure I keep my timing good, and we try not to book too many gigs during the school time so I don't miss too much school, so summer is really a busy time for me too. So with school and work and everything going on, I'm always so focused on doing things and the busyness of life. But when I get my time to do music, it's really a creative outlet for me. But you get a chance to just like take a second, not worry about anything. And I really feel like that comes out in music that we play, where you kind of, it's just self-expression, right?
That's when the improvisation comes, because as I was watching the audience when you were moving them, I could see your movement, and then they were trying to mimic that, but they're not aware of it. So how is this guy doing this? And I can see how deep you were into that thinking.
I guess a lot of audiences don't realize with musicians, it's a big connection between the musician and the audience when we're performing a piece, especially like songs that we really feel like we would resonate with. So yeah, I'm just so happy that I get the chance to like do something I'm very passionate about and share it with everyone who gets a chance to hear it.
Any plans to study music formally, or you just want to continue the way that you started and have your own way, you know?
Mm-hmm. I think maybe much further down the line, I'm very interested in learning music formally, but in the near and medium future, I definitely just like the trajectory we're going. Like, it hasn't really proven to be any stumbling blocks right now, and I think like by having a different background than many other musicians, it creates something different in a way.
I'm gonna take a little break for now, and then we'll come back after the break. Tell us what is the connection between African drums and steel drumming in Trinidad?
So historically in Trinidad, a long time ago they started the carnival, which is like a massive celebration that spread all throughout the Caribbean. But a big part of the carnival was actually the steel drums, and this instrument and this tradition originated from East Indian and African indentured laborers and slaves. So from there, the steel drum has developed into the instrument that it is today.
That's a good illuminating story. Mm-hmm. The instrument, you know, I mean, within that small thing, you create all sorts of.
Of course, yeah.
Tell us, how is it made? How is it tuned? And does it need special equipment to make that, or? Tell us more about it.
That's a good question. We get asked at least like once or twice every gig or show we play. So yeah, steel drum, as I mentioned earlier, originates in Trinidad and Tobago. So initially, the Dual Island Nation was very oil wealthy, and they ended up having a lot of empty, like big gallon oil drums that they didn't know what to do with. So I guess someone came up with the idea to turn these into a musical instrument. So the process of doing so, they cut the skirt to the length of the drum that they need, and then they sink it down, and they actually beat it in with a hammer to form all the different notes inside. So there are many different types of steel drums. In a steel orchestra, you have all types of frequencies and pitches to make up the full sound. But to the steel drum that I play, it plays the soprano or the melody of the music. Mm-hmm. There's actually 32 notes inside, so that's 2 full octaves, yeah. Wow. And they tune it all by ear. They use heat and a hammer, yeah, and then they figure out, yeah, they create the notes from there.
I was wondering, how do you have these different sounds from one spot, you know? I mean, for a person uninitiated about it like me, you know, just I see you only doing this, and how does he know what kind of spot gives what kind of sound?
Yeah, so inside the drum, all the different notes are actually slightly different sizes. Mm-hmm. So they go from big sizes, and it kind of goes around the drum. That's why it looks cool to play, because they're not in order. But pretty much the bigger the note, the lower the bigger the size of the note, the lower it is, and coming up to all the high notes in the middle. Actually, just like when you first learn how to play, I know the steel drum I started playing on, we actually had like a little marker written in where the different notes are to first memorize it, and then after you memorize it and get your own pen, then you don't need any markings inside. But yeah.
I would need a lot of that. For sure.
Takes practice, yeah.
How does this each note doesn't interfere with the other next note because it's in the same?
Pretty much if you picture the steel drum as like a circle, I guess before they even sync it and create it, they have their own, like, they plan it first and where each note would be inside the drum. But essentially most steel drums are formatted where your whole notes are on like the right side of it, and the sharps and flats are on the left side of it, and then you have low notes around the outsides, and the higher notes come into the inside.
Zahi, tell us about your band.
So yeah, Beechnut Steel is a duo comprised of myself and my best friend, who actually used to be my neighbor. We both play the tenor steel pen, and we're backed by electronic percussions, which would be through our speakers.
So you have your duo band, and you're having also electronic players in the group. So do you have your own compositions, or how is that?
We mainly do covers to songs. Most of the time it's easiest we would create or use an instrumental of a song that we'd like to cover, and then we play it that way. However, we do make some original music, and we're working on developing our creativity through that way as much as we can.
If somebody wants to contact you, how can he or she reach you?
We do have all the typical social media pages. So we do have an Instagram account and a Facebook account, and we do have a Gmail, all of them at Beechnut Steel. And we're also hoping to launch our website before the end of the summer, which will be beechnutsteel.ca once it's complete.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So people can check you out on your Facebook website and call you as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great pleasure having Zahi today in our show, and he gave us a great insight about steel drumming, and we were really educated by how he came into this and what it means into our cultural mosaic here in Canada. It was a great pleasure again to have him in here. Thank you, Zahi, for coming and sacrificing your time to give us this show.
Well, thank you, Tess, for inviting me. It's been a pleasure doing this. And thank you, African Canadian Voice, for having me on your show.
The next morning I was told I was not only fined 20 pounds for my conduct, but I was also charged with tax evasion for not paying the 1 penny difference between the seat upstairs and the seat I chose to sit downstairs. What could I do? I paid and I left, holding my purse close to me so that they couldn't see my hands trembling. I went silently on that long drive home. I knew that what happened to me was wrong, and at first I played over and over in my head, what if? What if? And this gave way soon to a deep sense of injustice, and the thought that I had to do something. I had to step outside of that predictable world I had built around myself. I had to take action. And if I thought that when I got home that my husband would have been furious at what had happened to me and would have brought up the sword to fight for me, I was wrong. When I recounted my story, Jack said, just let it go. Just let it go. Don't stick your neck out. Don't draw attention to yourself. I got it. He said it would hurt It would hurt business, and all I knew was that I couldn't let it go. I did not deserve to be humiliated and treated as an inferior. Looking at my bruises the next day, my doctor said that I had to take action. My pastor, Reverend Oliver, and many other church leaders also encouraged me to fight the charge in court, and so I did. I had no idea what I was letting myself in for. I was no activist. And I was not prepared for the hornet's nest that I had jumped into. When Carrie Best published my story in the Clarion, the newspaper, my world disintegrated even more. The Clarion was the first Black-owned newspaper in Nova Scotia. And apparently Mrs. Best had gone through a similar situation at the Roseland, so when she heard my story, she jumped on it. Many people in my community agreed with my husband. I should have just let it go. They thought I had created an excuse for the white community to mistreat us. And it was true. There were some nasty incidents that happened in town. And our young men retaliated. My business did lose some customers. It was a difficult time for me. And Jack, who did not always appreciate my independence, and he didn't appreciate my success as a woman, he grew sullen, and we drifted apart. Where did it all end? Did I get justice? My lawyer, Mr. Bissett, tried unsuccessfully to sue the theater. Things dragged on for months. In the trials that followed, the Crown argued that it was all about tax evasion. And unfortunately, my lawyer fought against that, instead of going after the racism that was practiced openly in Nova Scotia. In the final trial, the judge said as much, but it was too late. I was fined again. In other words, I did not get justice for what had happened to me. It's true that my case brought to light the policies, the racist policies that had previously gone unchallenged. Some say my actions kick-started the Canadian civil rights movement. After the trial, I sold my salon and the beauty school, and I left Nova Scotia. I took more business education in Montreal, and later I settled in New York. I lived with a constant pain in my hip for the rest of my life. Was it worth it? All I can say is that I learned that there is a heavy price for activism. But if you believe you are right, then it's a price that you are prepared to pay. I am Viola Desmond.
That was nice of you. When I saw that, I was flattered. And I thought, oh shoot, if I'm on the poster, I better put on my best shirt. So I did. This is my best shirt. I better go get a haircut at United Cuts. One got a haircut. So here I am, ready to put on my best show for you guys. really just happy to be a small part of this fantastic event. Everybody who's been on stage has been wonderful and fantastic. It's great to be here celebrating culture and history. Not just black history, but Canadian history. I'm going to sing a song for you guys. This is one of the songs that I wrote. It's called Home. Tell me something that you dreamed of last night. Did I make an appearance? Because you sure made one of mine. I placed a diamond ring on your finger, but you complained about the storm. Even in my dream, can't live well enough alone. Well, I used to know where all these roads used to go. And I'll fight till the end. I'll find you again, be the light that guides me back home. That guides me back home. Where is home now? 'Cause I can't find it. Wherever you are is how we used to define it. But I still remain, but I stand unchanged, unwavering love. If I believe we'll find a new way. We'll find a new way, yeah. You guide me back home. You guide me back home, yeah. To London, Ontario. Well, this is my home. Well, I used to know.